Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Matthew and today I'm here to tell you how and why your specific person manifestation can happen instantly. So jumping straight into it, I have heard so many things like, my person was mean to me yesterday, how could they change overnight? Or it's been X amount of time since our breakup, how could they still love me? Or it hasn't been long enough since our breakup, how could they have forgiven me for all that I've done? These statements are all logical, limited statements based on the concept of time that only exists within this 3D limited plane of existence. Now, the amazing thing about these statements and about where they exist is time isn't even consistent on this logical 3D plane of existence. For example, time doesn't follow the same 1 second, 2 second, 3 second format everywhere. If you were to be further away from a gravitational source, time would be experienced faster than if you were to be closer to it. It's called gravitational time dilation, and it's part of Einstein's theory of relativity and has been backed by many experiments since then. Which means the logical limitation that we put on ourselves of it must take this amount of time for someone to fall in love, or it takes this amount of time to heal from trauma, or if they were like this yesterday, how could they change overnight? This is all based on a logical limitation based on the continuation of life that we experience on this 3D plane, where that continuation of life or time isn't even consistent. Back when dinosaurs used to exist, our days were only 23 hours long because the moon was closer to us, thus affecting our spin due to the gravity. Which means our days were only 23 hours long then, and today they're only 24 hours long, and in the future they'll be 25 hours long. This means that time is entirely malleable. So the concept of I need to wait this amount of time, or they were like this yesterday, so how could a short amount of time switch them, or it hasn't been long enough, all of these statements are entirely redundant, and the only reason that they hold any validity is because your logical mind is what feeds your subconscious mind the story that you are wanting to experience. Now, you may not want to experience a length of time. You may not want to have to wait months for them to forgive you, or you may not want it to be months from the breakup so they don't forget about you, but you're going to experience it for as long as you let your logical mind experience those thoughts as truth. Like I said, time is malleable, and the reason why time is malleable is because it isn't consistent. But where time is consistent is in consciousness, because in consciousness, time doesn't exist whatsoever. Therefore, it cannot be inconsistent. Consciousness simply pushes out what you are feeding it for you to experience. So if I was to say right now that they can't treat me nice today because they were horrible yesterday, it's not because they actually need time in order to be a better version of themselves, in order to treat me better. It's that my logical, limited mind is feeding consciousness this story. They cannot change overnight because they need time to heal. Now, although time doesn't matter to consciousness, and that's not the factor that it's taking on board, what it is taking on board is your conscious mind's belief that they cannot heal by now, because everything is experienced now. So if your conscious mind is saying they can't be nice to me today because yesterday they were mean, your conscious mind is missing out the yesterday and today because they don't know. All it knows is what's experienced right now. But what it is being shown is right now they cannot be nice, if that makes sense. Not because of the time, but because of what your conscious mind is feeding it. But like I said, everything exists in this moment right now. If you were to think of it, if I was to say to you, think of a purple banana, you could do it. If I was to say to you, think of walking through a house that isn't your own, you could do it. If I was to say to you, think of frolicking through a lovely field of flowers with your specific person, you could do it. This is because everything is in existence right this second, because there is no past, present, and future to consciousness. All it knows is the story that you are feeding it as your current experience. So, if you want them to happen overnight, like come in overnight, or to treat you better overnight, You need to let go of the idea of instantly, of overnight, as actually being factors in your manifestation. And instead, hold on to the idea of this is your experience right now. Like I said, it's not because of the time between point A, where they're treating you poorly, to point B that matters. The time to getting there means absolutely nothing. What matters is the state that you're in when you're assuming they need time to heal. When you're in the state of, they can't possibly be the version I want them to be because it's not been too long enough, or it's been too long, you're just saying they're not the version of them that you want them to be. So, what do? In your mind, you create the scenes, the statements, the awareness of them already being the way you want them to be, and that is the state that you sit in. That is the state that you redirect your focus back to whenever you feel yourself falling out. That is the state that you sit in to ensure that your dominant state is that of having what you want, and therefore your subconscious mind will immediately get to work putting it in place. This is why your manifestation can happen instantly, because everything happens instantly based on what you are feeding it. So your conscious mind thinks that you've been doing techniques for 9 months and still no evidence, but that's just because that's your ego saying, well, I'm doing enough. But consciousness doesn't get it wrong. Consciousness doesn't pick and choose what you do and don't deserve. Consciousness doesn't say you were naughty last year, so you're not having this today. Consciousness just knows, I've been fed this story, this is my experience, I'm going to push it out. And when you think about it, it does happen instantly, but just a lot of the time against you. Think of how many times people have said, I've done all of this work for weeks and got like the tiniest bit of movement, but the second I start to panic, immediately that's when it all goes wrong. It's because you're more dominantly in the panic, which is why it happens instantly. My manifestation when I got Katie back was an instant manifestation. If you know about it, I was in no contact. And from the second I left the door to when we got back into contact, or until she tried to call me to reconcile, I was in no contact. I was doing the work. I was still worried. And it wasn't until I'd said to myself, look, it's going to happen, because I basically know it is. Like, if it does or it doesn't matter to me, whatever. And this allowed me to then stay in that dominant state because I was no longer trying to force it. So it became my dominant state because I was just relaxed and doing it from a relaxed state. And then I'd wake up the next morning to a missed call and boom, it was all sorted. This is happening instantly because I got into the state of being in the wish fulfilled more dominantly than the panic, than the anxieties, than the worries about time, than the what's she doing, what's her social media, yada 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 pieces. Because all of those are evidence of being in the wrong state. And it happened for me instantly. I thought I would also give a bit of a visual representation of what I mean by the linear movement of time and how it can not exist. So if we use this as examples, we have 2 dots on this piece of paper. We got this dot here and this dot here. If I was to ask you, if any of you were obviously in this room right now, what would be the fastest way for you to get from this dot to this dot? Now, 90% of people are going to say you draw a line from there straight there. And yes, from a conscious, logical state, that would be the fastest way to get there. But your subconscious mind, because everything exists right here, right now, doesn't look at it like a logical time strain. It bends what you experience. So the fastest way to get from point A to point B is to put a hole through there and experience them both in the same space at the same time. This is essentially what imagination is. It's folding the plane of existence so everything is experienced right now, this second. All you need to do is impress your subconscious mind so that you can pass from one point here over to the part on this. So when it opens back up, you're now at this one instead of at this one. I really hope that makes sense. So remember this, time does not matter. Time is just a logical limitation concept that is brought upon us by this 3D limited plane of existence where time doesn't even stay consistent there. So to an extent, time is a complete joke. This is because Up here, awareness, consciousness, God, subconscious, universe, whatever you like to refer to it as, everything is existent right this second, and all you need to do is not worry about not worry about the time between here to here, but instead worrying about being in the dominant state of already having your desire, so the plane of existence can bend, you can then swap into your desired reality, and it can open back up again, and you're now at a different spot. This is why it can happen instantly, because you are bending the plane of existence, the bridge of incidence or the impression, whatever part of it, because some people might have to have something happen in order to get their desire, and other people, like myself, literally just wake up with their desire basically in hand. But yeah, so the bridge of incidence or the manifestation is the part where the plane of existence is connected at the 2 points, and then it goes back to normal, opens back up, and this is now your dominant state, that of you being in your desired reality. I really hope this video has helped. If you are in need of any of my help whatsoever, by all means check out below in the comment section and the description. My links to my website are there. If you could leave a like, comment and subscribe on this video, it really does help the channel out. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.